Never lose the lesson in your losses. Hi, welcome to another episode of MasterMindBites. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we get to feature another amazing individual. And the reason why I have this show is because over the last few years, I've been very fortunate to meet some incredible people, some masters of their skill sets, and also some celebrities, CEOs. I got to learn how they became successful, listen to their stories, take some of those lessons and apply to my life, in my personal life, my business life, and then want to take this opportunity to pass some of those lessons to you. And today I get to feature the amazing Glenn Anderson. Now, I'm always very pumped up for these because being from Edmonton, Alberta, Glenn Anderson was part of those amazing Oiler teams. And every time I do an Oiler, I think it's absolutely incredible because I get to learn more about what they did, learn more about what they went through, and then try and take those things and apply it to myself and really just learn from them all the time. Glenn Anderson is a Hockey Hall of Famer. He's a 6-time Stanley Cup champion. He's represented Canada many times, won Canada Cups. He scored 498 goals in his career. He is also a person who scored 93 goals in the playoffs, and 17 of those are game winners. He's known as Mr. Clutch, a playoff performer. He's absolutely incredible, and he's been in the NHL for over 16 years, and he's done so many big accomplishments, and he has so many great lessons that we can all apply into our daily lives and our business lives as well. 5 of those lessons I really wanted to take to heart is: number 1, never lose the lessons from your losses. Number 2 is the love and the passion for pressure. And then also number 3, representation, representing your brand best. Number 4, emotion, love, and laugh. And number 5, no fear, Mr. Clutch, crashing the net. So going back to number 1, never lose the lesson from your losses. No matter how much time, no matter how much hard work you put into it, sometimes things just don't go your way. Even though if you do put in 110% of your efforts and you work very hard, it may not become the results that you wanted. And not everything goes your way. But as long as you learn from those lessons, as long as you take something from them, then you never ever lose. And this was case in point for the Edmonton Oilers back in the 80s, early 80s. For the 1982 playoffs, they went to the semifinals and they lost to the Los Angeles Kings. But they learned a lot from that. Then they made the finals in 83 playoffs, and they went up against a juggernaut of the New York Islanders. And that's when they learned how to win, because they lost that series as well. And then when it came to the 84 playoffs, they actually became the Stanley Cup champions, and he won 5 cups in 7 years from that point forward. And that's something they just basically took those losses and learned. And that's something that Glenn Anderson does a lot as well in everything. When it comes to hockey, when it comes to life, when it comes to business, when it comes to all that kind of stuff, as long as he's learning something, he still puts in 110% of his work, puts in 100% of his effort. But sometimes he may not get the results that he wants, and therefore he keeps on learning, keeps on getting those lessons from those losses. As long as we take out those lessons home, then we're never ever going to lose. Number 2 is the love of pressure situations. And this guy is absolutely Mr. Clutch when it comes to the playoffs. When the pressure's on, you expect him to come up big. You expect him to come up with a great shot or a great push and a great effort. And every single time when the playoffs are there, he is there to play. He is there to elevate his game. And he just loves to wake up to those situations. And he actually elevates his game to become even better when it comes to playoffs or high pressure situations. That's why he's known as Mr. Clutch. He's known as a game breaker. He's known for that being a playoff performer, scoring 93 goals in the playoffs, 17 of them being game winners. And that places him in the top 3 in overtime winners. That places him in the top 5 in game-winning playoff goals. And it's absolutely incredible because those are records that not many people are able to reach. He also is there to play those rivalry games. He's very pumped up to play those rivalry games because the pressure's on. And when the pressure's on, he's able to perform even stronger, even better. And that's something we should all even put into our lives, because when the pressure's on, we need to elevate our game. And that's when we can learn more. That's when we can perform better. That's when we can actually make more of an impact, when we're able to look at pressure situations and perform even better. And that's something that Glenn Anderson does very well. Number 3 is representation. Now, he's a person who loved representing the Maple Leaf. He's loved representing Team Canada play in Olympics and international competitions, because once he puts on that jersey, and the thing is, it doesn't really matter if it's Team Canada, the Oilers, the Maple Leafs, the Rangers, which he's also played in. Every time he puts on a jersey, he wants to represent that jersey. He wants to represent that country. He wants to represent the game. And every time he puts on that jersey, he knows he needs to do his best. He has to respect it. He has to love it. He has to have that passion for it. And when he has that, then that means he's performing well. And that's when he's representing that logo. He's representing that team. He's representing himself to its top-notch performance. And therefore, he's doing the best that he can do. And therefore, that's something we need to put into our minds as well. When we go to work, when we're representing our company, when we're representing ourselves, when we're representing our business, when we're representing our roles or our economy, whatever it is that we're representing, we want to represent the best. And therefore, we need to show our best. Number 4, something that he's highlighted during his induction ceremony for the Hockey Hall of Fame was that there's only 3 things that he does in his life: have high emotions, laugh, and love. And that's something I thought was very, very important, because those are 3 things we have to have in our lives. We have to be able to laugh. We have to be able to love. And therefore, we also have to have good emotions. Yes, there's highs and lows, but without the lows, there are no highs. And that's something that I thought was very, very evident when he was doing his induction ceremony, because he was very, very emotional. And I highly recommend you watch his induction speech. It was very, very touching. He thanked so many different people. And another thing I wanted to mention is how he gave so much credit to everybody around his life that helped him succeed. Never once did he talk about himself. Never once did he talk about his accomplishments, but he really gave the credibility to all the people who were supporting him. His heartfelt speech about with regards to Mark Messier, with Gretzky, and all those other team players that he's played with was absolutely touching. And plus, he brought his daughter in as an intro to his speech, made it very, very family orientated and very, very emotional. Lots of laughter in his speech, and also lots of love in that speech as well. And I highly recommend you watch that speech. Very, very touching. Number 5, I wanted to say is he's a person who has no fear when it comes to playing hockey. He was the person who's always crashed the net. And this is prior to when those nets had those really flexible rubber hoses that you can actually push off onto the ice. Back then, it was like hard posts going right down to the ice. So when you crashed into it, you really felt that post. You really felt that net, but he didn't care. He knew that he wanted to perform well. He knew he was Mr. Clutch. He knew that the pressure's on. So therefore, he played with no fear, and he crashed the net, and that's where he gets his goals. And that's something, again, we need to put into our daily lives, because sometimes we have to approach things with no fear. We need to approach things with confidence. We have to approach things like we are not going to lose. And that's something that he does very, very well. And that's why he's been able to be so successful in hockey, scoring that almost 500 goals, and a lot of them was crashing the net. And that's something that he did very, very well, playing with no fear. So going back to those 5 things I thought was very, very important when it comes to our daily lives and our business lives is that number 1, never lose the lesson that you get from your losses. Number 2, love the pressure. Become a peak performer, become a game breaker. Number 3, representation. Do your best, representing your best in front of everybody. Number 4, 3 things in your life that's important: emotion, laugh, and love. And then finally, number 5, approach life sometimes with no fear and crash that net. So those are the 5 things I really want to highlight. If you enjoyed this episode, please go back and watch some other episodes on MasterMindBites. And of course, we have a lot of other shows, the Peak Potential Success Show, the Make More Mind Bites, and of course, the Unlocking the Mind Behind Make More Work Less. Thank you very much for your watching, your time, your likes, subscriptions, your comments. I love seeing those comments. And until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. I'll see you later.